Good evening, defenders, and happy Tuesday to you, and welcome to another episode of One More Sleep. This is our preview of our second game this season against St. Louis City. St. Louis City from the Show Me State, which is the nickname for Missouri. And that phrase is usually tied to the ideas that Missourians are skeptical and practical people and basically say and think, don't just tell me, show me. And quite honestly, it's us that are from a show me MLS team called LAFC, because that's something that we all want. We want LAFC to show us that they're righting the ship and that the past is in the past and that the focus is on the future. So despite Missouri being the show me state, we're all about showing me what's up right now. Who are we? My name's Christian Filliman, better known as Philly. And joining me at some point, he will be in front of something as opposed to a little cheeky blinder or a peaky blinder. His name is La Bufanda, a.k.a. J.R. Liebert, the
Scarf. What's good, everybody? Yeah, Philly, look, show me state of Missouri. What I'm excited about is that we're playing in Energizer Park. Maybe the boys could get a little energy from that Energizer bunny that keeps going and going and going, because to be perfectly honest, that's what LAFC has done this season. They've kept going and going and going, not always going in the right direction, not always going very quickly, but this has been as compacted and as rough of a stretch as possible. But look, we have what should be a very winnable match in front of us. This is a club that is vying currently for the wooden spoon in St. Louis City SC. Just 2 wins in 2026 in MLS play. Although, again, they find themselves in the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open Cup with 2 wins. But Philly, it's a club that doesn't score. It's also a club that doesn't give up a ton of goals, especially because of that guy on the back line there. But a very winnable, palpable 3 points, hopefully, in Houston.
Hopefully, very much hopefully. And what we do have going for us, and I hate saying these things because sometimes the exact opposite happens. They haven't scored upon us at Energizer Park. And by they, I mean St. Louis City. So the history has a tendency to, repeat itself. And, we have a 2-0-1 record there with a +5 goal differential. We've scored 5 times against them at home. They have not scored against us once. The only time they've scored against us is in a draw that they managed to accomplish at BMO Stadium. But this is not a good team. They've got some really good pieces, but this is far different than the team that blew the doors right off of the Western Conference upon their inaugural season. They would go on to be one of the top dogs in MLS in the West, although they would start to fade, fizzle, and just the descent has been continuing to happen between St. Louis and Sporting Kansas City, 2 cities that really are at the heart of American soccer historically. They're 2 very bad teams. So to your point, a winnable game, but it's these kind of games that often terrify me. This is the 6th straight midweek game that we've had since the start of the season, and I don't have as much optimism right now as I did about a couple of weeks ago.
Well, here's the reason for optimism. Philly, you already touched on it. We've never lost to this team, number one. 5-0-2 in all competitions. You said it. We've never even given up a goal at Energizer Park. That's an insane stat, to never have given up a goal in the team's home building for St. Louis City. We beat them 3-0 last time. Sonny had 2, both of them, by the way, assisted by Artem Smolyakov. So we'll see if maybe the Artem-Sonny connection gets back going in St. Louis. Philly, we already beat them this season 2-0. Matty Chouanier, who I think Philly might talk about in a little bit. Matty Chouanier with both goals, as we struggled a little bit to find ourselves until Chouanier found the back of the net twice. No Joao Klaus. He's not even with the Galaxy anymore, as he's hurt. I will say, Philly, I was watching some highlights earlier in the year, and I don't know who was cutting onions when I was watching those April 18th highlights from Edward Leuven, but we all know when we played St. Louis City at BMO, Edward Leuven had just lost his wife to brain cancer.
Yeah.
And just awful. The team decided, look, let's throw him out there for his first match in stoppage time of a 4-0 at the time losing effort against Seattle in Seattle. They didn't even wait for Leuven to get back home. They're like, look, he wants to get the moment over with. Let's throw him out there. So they threw him out there in the 89th minute. And like his third touch, he scored a goal in stoppage time. I don't know who was cutting onions around me while I was watching that highlight, but it was, woo, man. So Edward Leuven is back, which I think all of MLS is happy to see Edward Leuven back. And then Philly, it will be another reuniting reminder of what could have been with one Mamadou Fall.
Oh, we didn't see him the last time around, and
he was there. He was
there, but he did not feature. He was
mired.
there, and honestly, really, since he left LAFC, he hasn't really been anywhere. You know, he got a little too big for his britches and thought, you know, okay, Barcelona wants me now. I'm on my way, and now he's not even getting run. That much run with one of the worst teams in Major League Soccer. So it's amazing how tides can turn drastically over the course of a couple of years. And just even look at it up and down St. Louis City's roster. I mean, you mentioned it. Their keeper, Roman Berkey. First off, in Major League Soccer, he's been fantastic. Best 11 in 23, an MLS All-Star a couple of times, an MLS Goalkeeper of the Year in 2023. But that's not where he really made his money and his name. He did that playing in the Bundesliga for a lot of people that are for a lot of people's favorite club outside of LAFC in the Bundesliga, Borussia Dortmund. That's right, you Dortmund folk out there who remember the DFB Pokal. Berkey was on a couple of those championship Pokal winning teams and a DFL Super Cup, although he wouldn't be able to participate in winning a Bundesliga because there's this other team down south called Bayern that made sure to not allow Roman Berkey and Dortmund and pretty much everybody in the Bundesliga, with the exception of Bayer Leverkusen as of late, win the title. But yes, how the mighty have fallen. It's cool to get to see Roman Berkey, and yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
And Philly, he's not as good as he once was, but he was as good once as he ever was last time out. A 1-0 clean sheet, 2 saves, did what he had to do to beat the Rapids. That would be his only clean sheet this season, Philly, in 11 MLS matches. He hasn't looked great as of 2026, but he's also been kind of a hard luck loser. He has only given up 1 goal.
Hard luck loser.
Yeah, he's given up 1 goal in 5 matches this season, and they have just 1 win in those 5 matches where he's given up 1 goal. Only 1 loss in those matches, too, by the way, 3 draws. But either way, Roman Berkey, it's always nice to see a European legend come to MLS. I know we're also going to talk about one of my favorite nicknames in all of Major League Soccer. That would be Marcel the Model Hartel. He's playing very well for them this season. We'll talk about him in a little bit. And oh, by the way, a designated player that we've seen a couple of different times in Major League Soccer, formerly of RSL and Vancouver, Sergio Cordova. So more on him in a little bit. Philly, Yohan Damet, his 14th match now in Major League Soccer. We saw him earlier this season. Born in 1990, and he's coaching. That makes me feel nice and young. He's also been the assistant for FC Cincinnati, for the Galaxy. He was the head coach for Los Gros for a little bit, assistant under Wilfred Nancy and the crew, also under Mikey Veras for the U20s. And a couple of people out for FC Cincinnati, Philly. Tomas Ostrak.
FC Cincinnati?
St. Louis City. Sorry, I was looking at my FC Cincinnati.
Pod brought to us by NyQuil again, Scar?
Yes, it's right here. Tomas Ostrak and Celio Pompeu both out for this one with injury. They really haven't done much for them this season, but they have done stuff in the past. But the big loss for them will be midfielder Chris Durkin, 4th in minutes on the club, and he is out with a red card suspension as he picked up one of those last match. So no Chris Durkin in the midfield. That'll be big for them. Unfortunately, Philly, the injury report came out, and another big loss for us on the injury front.
Yeah, it's Mark Dos Santos referred to it, and he was quite upset about it, quite emotional about it, too, in the press conference. Sergi Palencia, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks. No clear timetable in regards to any of that. I mean, it's not fun. It's not fun at all to lose one of your best players that way. So we'll be without him for a little while, and this is where the fun of all these games back to back. This is what happens in these types of scenarios. Load management is what needs to occur, but here we are without one of our top defenders.
Yeah. Igor Jesus also out for this one. Amin Boudry, though.
Yeah. I mean,
upgraded, right? Upgraded? Questionable? I don't know. We'll take it. All right, shall we?
Yep.
All right, y'all. Sonny, I'm still waiting. Still waiting, Sonny. I'm going to keep picking you as my player to watch. Poke you with a stick. Do something. Sonny, it just came out today. All the salary numbers, $11 million. $11 million. I actually thought it was more, if I'm being honest. I thought Sonny was making more money.
He is. It's just not off the salary.
That's true. He's making plenty of endorsement deals and everything else. He is everywhere. If you go to BMO Stadium, and there are Korean companies lining up left and right behind LAFC. But $11 million, Sonny. And I'm waiting for the old Sonny to come back. I'm waiting for the Sonny Denis connection to get going, which I think we might see some of in this one. Either way, I thought, by the way, Denis Bouanga was a little underpaid. I thought he was making more than $5 million a year, but okay. Right, good on him. And for St. Louis, this is the player who, one of their three designated players, other than Berkey and Hartel, is Sergio Cordova. And Sergio Cordova gave us some fits at times with Real Salt Lake. I think he also may have scored a goal against us when he was with Vancouver. He's a very solid scorer up top, although I don't think he's ever been designated player level, but he's been paid that way by 3 clubs now. He only has 16 goals in 71 matches with MLS clubs, but he is a player who can score. And look, I don't think they have very many of those. We're going to talk about another one in a second. It's not a very good club, but the guys who can score, I don't know, maybe we should close out on them, like Jack McGlynn. Maybe we just give him a little less space. Let's see how that goes.
As far as my players to watch, I'm going to go with Mathieu Choinière. I'm not going to go for the $11 million man or the $6 million man in that of Denis Bouanga. I'm going to go for the $725,000 man in that of Choinière, mainly due to the fact that he did have a fine game against St. Louis. Had a brace. He was the offense, and he looked pretty good, and he was threatening in the previous match that we got our butts handed to us. We won't bring up that game or that opponent just because we already exercised those demons. So I do believe that Mathieu Choinière is due. As far as St. Louis is concerned, Scarf's favorite little reference there, and for those who are unaware of this, this goes back to 1990s golden era WWF when there was a former tag team partner of Tito Santana's by the name of Rick Martel. He would eventually adopt the moniker Rick the Model Martel, and he would walk around in his Carolina Tar Heel colored things and these sunglasses, and he would spray this perfume, this cologne he had called Arrogance. It's a much better heel than he was a tag team partner, although him and Tito Santana should have locked it up. They really missed out on that. But anyway, that's besides the point. Marcel Hartel von Deutschland, who originally started his career with FC Köln, the second team, before playing 8 caps with the bigger team. He would end up on Scarf's favorite team in Deutschland, Union Berlin, before managing to play for Arminia Bielefeld, which is the same team that Timothy Tillman played for. He helped that team get promoted from the Zweite Bundesliga into the Bundesliga itself, and then he would do the same thing a couple of years after playing with FC St. Pauli in Hamburg. That's a team with a lot of interesting history and a lot of stuff to it. Do yourselves a favor. Do a little bit of research on FC St. Pauli if you are unaware of them. The reason why he's worth mentioning in this scenario is because, well, he is St. Louis's leading scorer with 3 goals. In fact, he's the only player on St. Louis who has more than 1. He, along with he's the lone one, but 7 other players do have 1 goal as well. In addition, Hartel's contributed with an assist. So out of the lack of goals that St. Louis has scored, the bulk of them come from Hartel and his contributions. So those are the players that I would like to keep an eye on, and always have a little bit of warmth in my heart for players that competed, such as Sonny in the Bundesliga, because we know during his time for Hamburg and Bayer Leverkusen, we really saw some flashes of brilliance. And in particular, if y'all remember the clip that we shared on social media last year when Sonny was a part of Hamburg, there was a great clip of him blazing by former LAFC head coach Steve Cherundolo, and Steve was the captain of Hannover 96. Anyways, that's all I have to say about the Bundesliga. Schwanya and Hartel.
Yeah, Hartel, 31 goal contributions in 60 matches, according to our friends over at Transfer Market. So cool. We'll see what happens. Look, for me, 2 keys to the match. One is to play with pride. Represent the badge, represent the crest, represent the colors. I think LAFC has kind of lost their way over the last couple of matches, being upset. First being outplayed by Toluca, and being a little unlucky, but let's be honest, we were just flat out played in Toluca. And then being a little unlucky and then allowing ourselves to get outplayed and to psych ourselves out with the way that we were playing mentally in that game against Houston. I think LAFC has to have a big reset with their mindset more than anything else. And they've got to play with pride and realize that every damn club that takes the pitch against LAFC, every single one, is going to give us their best effort. I am absolutely saying that, yes, in the middle of August, when Minnesota is playing Chicago, or when DC United is playing against, I don't know, these St. Louis City club that we're playing right now, I don't think they're looking at it in the same way that they know that they have LAFC on the schedule. So it's time to man up, boys. I'm sorry. We got to play with pride. Pick yourselves up by your bootstraps. I want to see a little bit more from these guys in terms of pride for the badge, because we're going to get every team's best effort no matter what. So that's got to play with pride. And then, oh, by the way, next man up. I mean that in 2 different ways, Philly. Number one, obviously, Sergi Palencia is out. He's going to be out for a while, and we're going to have to figure out how to deal with that. We don't have a like-for-like replacement for Sergi Palencia. We just don't. Yeah, we'll throw Eddie Segura at one wing back, likely Ryan Hollingshead. Hell, Artem Smolyakov had 2 assists the last time he played in St. Louis. But we have to have a next man up philosophy about that, but we also better have a next man up. If you are the training staff, if you are the assistant coaches on the bench, and you see guys out there not busting it, not playing hard, not being in the right places, please understand that you have guys on the bench who have played better than some of our starters over these last 4 or 5 or 6 matches. So let's call on the next man up, and let's get some of these guys out of there at the 45-minute mark, and let's get guys into the match who are going to affect some real change. So those are my keys to the match.
I agree. To me, like, my focus is totally on mentality as well, because the tools are there. The talent is there. We know we have players that can do things. I said it the other day. We may not be a championship caliber team as of right now, but without question, a team that should have a pretty decent seed in the postseason regardless. It is all about being confident. It was between Mark and players like Nathan Ordaz in the press conference the other day. They were saying that, they felt good about how they were playing those first few minutes, and then all of a sudden the momentum shifts because they get crippled after an incredible banger. Of course, the banger from Jack McGlynn coming from outside the box. With the way they've been playing as of late, there's a little bit of fragility in the confidence factor. So if we can remember the never-ending story, Atreyu, when he's trying to get past the Sphinx in order to have a conversation with the Southern Oracle, he is skeptical, and then all of a sudden he finds that confidence to surge right through those Sphinx as they're trying to blast him like they did the other night prior to that. Be like Atreyu, show confidence, be confident, get through the Sphinx in this case being St. Louis SC. You are on mute, Falcor.
Sorry, I was coughing again.
He's a luck dragon.
I'm normally the one that wears the nerd hat. That was pretty fantastic there, Philly. That was impressive.
Love Never Ending Story. It's
yeah.
It's a fantastic movie. The original. Then they start to get really cheesy. The third one, don't even bother watching it. It's
God.
absolute POS.
The third one was terrible. The second one, not so great either. All right. I think we do it, you guys. I am probably guilty. I'm probably guilty.
I'm thinking of like Never Ending Story right now. Bastian, please. Sorry.
I'm probably guilty of being too optimistic about this club's chances right now. And by probably, I mean, I'm the one that's still optimistic about this club's chances right now. I don't know how many of y'all are out there. Philly, how many of the millions
and millions do
we think are still optimistic about the black and gold right now?
I mean, you would swear that we were worse than both Sporting KC and St. Louis SC. I mean, with if just coming across Twitter, like, I wonder what people like, and God bless them. For those who don't know the LAFC way, go ahead and follow his account. It's an interesting perspective from somebody who just came aboard the club the past couple of years and who's generally found a fondness and a love for LAFC, and is just starting to learn things that people that have been around for a while are very well aware of, and that's the toxicity of LAFC social media. You'd swear the sky was falling, but with ambitions, when you're not perfect, yes, that hurts, and it's not worth winning if you can't win big. Hence the Mighty Ducks. And by the way, they were losing last I saw. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, so I'm going to remain optimistic, and I'm going to hope that we can get this.
They sent it to overtime. Wow, sorry.
Woo. I'm hoping that we can get Sonny and Denis back on the same page again. They haven't been for quite some time. I'm hoping that maybe Denis sitting in the sin bin for a game, speaking of penalty boxes and hockey, Denis having to sit out this one and watch it from the stands, watch it from the sideline. Maybe that puts it into perspective on A, how important he is to this club, and B, the attitude adjustment that needs to happen. Like we said, he's played up to 48 matches in a season for LAFC and never achieved more than 5 yellow cards in a season. He has played 17 total matches so far this season. I think it's up to 18 now, but either way, 7 yellow cards. 7 yellow cards. So we gotta tamper it down just a little bit on the yellows, but I think we get back at it, Philly, and I think it's going to be more of the same that we've experienced in St. Louis.
I probably was far too optimistic my last go around, where I predicted that we would beat the Dynamo by a score of 3-0. So this time I'm going to take a very cautious approach. Not even a cautiously optimistic, just a cautious approach. You tend to play down at the level of your opponent. For St. Louis SC, you said it. They look on their schedule, and there's a handful of games that they circle, LAFC being one of them. To them right now, a big win against LAFC is just what the doctor ordered in order for them to get back to some winning ways, which for the most part, they have won recently, and they've been doing pretty well at US Open Cup. A win against LAFC would be huge for them because we are the team to beat for everybody always. But sometimes when you are LAFC, playing a team as bad as St. Louis City, you get caught up in playing down to the level of your opponent. So that being said, I don't think we lose this game, but I also don't think we walk out of it with a victory. And I hope that I am wrong in this case. But 1-1, I feel, would be a reasonable approach. And if I had my Kalshi app available, that's what I would pick. I would pick a draw. And that's how we go into Nashville.
All right. Well, it's going to be a tough defensive struggle in Nashville for sure. We'll see what happens with this one in St. Louis. By the way, last thing out there for all of you, don't confuse Fallu Fall, who also plays center back for St. Louis City, with Mamadou Fall. He's listed as Mbake, which is like what he started to be called or wanted to be referred to as a little bit later on. But Fallu Fall and Mamadou Fall are 2 different people. So just wanted to throw that out there for all of you watching.
Like Quadwo Poku and Quadwo Opoku.
That's exactly why I bring that up. And Philly and I will share the story of Quadwo Poku and Quadwo Opoku on the episode where we talk about this match. We're just 414. So there you go. Thank you, Ruben, as always. We appreciate this. Philly's got a 1-1 draw. I've got my next dose of NyQuil coming up and a 2-0 victory. So I'm gonna have some NyQuil and go to bed, Philly.
All right, you need some sleep. You've You've looked better. And
have I? I don't know. At this point, it's all downhill. All right, y'all.
Thanks, newfound glory.
We'll see y'all on episode 414 in just 2 days.
Be confident. Run, Atreyu. Run.